Welcome to the Workplace Wellbeing Essentials series. I'm Mari Ryan. I'm the CEO and founder of Advancing Wellness. It's my pleasure to welcome you today to this expert interview where we explore topics that impact employee well-being. My guest today is Laura Putnam. Laura is the CEO and founder of Motion Infusion, and she is the author of Workplace Wellness That Works, this fabulous book that she has written. She's also the creator of Managers on the Move. Laura is a former urban public school teacher, an international community organizer, a dancer, a gymnast, and now a movement builder in the world of health and well-being. With a mission to get organizations in motion, Laura is a frequent keynote speaker and has worked with a range of organizations from Fortune 500s to government agencies to academic institutes and nonprofits. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you, Mari. It's so nice to be on your program.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad to have you here today. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the role that managers play in the elements of well-being in the workplace. So we know that in spite of the fact that human resource professionals and worksite wellness professionals are doing a great job in building programs and creating awareness for well-being in the workplace, that sometimes employees aren't participating in these well-being programs at the rates that we might hope. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that what we've all learned the hard way is that unlike the field of dreams, if you build it as in a workplace wellness or well-being initiative, they will not necessarily come. And so I think that one stumbling block has just been that the assumption that if we put something in place, that automatically people will flock to that program. So I think that that's one learning for all of us. I think another learning for a lot of companies has been just because we attach incentives to these programs, that people are going to participate, and not only participate, but really engage in a way that's meaningful. And what the research is showing is that the average amount spent per employee per year on incentives alone is almost $700 per employee per year. And a lot of employees are frankly just leaving money on the table. They're not even taking advantage of the money that's available there for them. And what we know from the research is that at best, incentives will get people there, but they will never keep them there. And at worst, they may even actually crowd out or undermine intrinsic motivation, which is really what the key goal is. And what the research consistently shows is the only way to sustain a behavior, and in this case, a lifestyle behavior over time, is for somebody to be intrinsically engaged and intrinsically motivated.
Right, exactly. Yeah, people often forget how hard behavior change is until they start to look at the work that we do in the well-being world and understand that it's all about behavior change. Unless, of course, they have a teenage child, in which case, then they completely understand it. Well, let's talk a little bit about, you've been taking, I guess, a little bit different approach in trying to encourage participation at the grassroots level from the employee perspective by taking an approach with managers. So let's explore a little bit the role that managers play and how to activate managers to become multipliers of well-being.
Yeah, that's a great question. And just as you have characterized, it's something that I'm really interested in. I mean, I've really been looking at this piece of engagement and why is it that we are stumbling on this so much. And historically, there has been a lot of emphasis on engaging senior leaders. I mean, in fact, that's the first step to the WELCOA 7 C's, which is capture leadership support. And I would argue that, yes, that is so critical for setting the tone for any kind of well-being initiative. And it obviously is also essential for allocating resources. And the senior leaders are the ones who really make that determination. But then once we get beyond that, then it really comes down to, are people really engaging with this on a day-to-day basis? And what happens more often than not, unfortunately, is even if the leaders are embracing this and engaging with it themselves, too often the managers are serving as the barricade between the larger employee base engaging with it as well. And effectively, every employee is looking to their direct boss to give them permission to engage with well-being. And so every manager is uniquely positioned to influence the behavior of their team members' engagement with not only well-being, but also with their work. We know, for example, the research shows over and over and over again that people don't leave their job. In 75% of the cases, they leave their boss. And the same is true when it comes to well-being. And so you can have the best laid well-being program in the world that the senior leaders are speaking about and maybe they're even engaging with. But if your direct boss is not supporting it, then if you want to move ahead within the context of your team, then you know to do the same. So in effect, whatever behaviors that manager has serves as kind of a mirroring effect. So I'll break this down a little bit more. So a manager who is sending emails to their team members at 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday night is conveying the message that if you want to be perceived as a high performer on my team, then you respond to those emails at midnight or whatever it is. And there's some interesting research, a study that just came out where they showed that that for those employees who have a manager who are sending emails at 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday night, their chances of also being online late at night, off hours, goes up dramatically. So what we've been really doing is looking at this piece. And so given the fact that every manager is uniquely positioned to become, or they are either acting as a gatekeeper by default if they're not supporting well-being, or on the positive side, they have an opportunity to be able to become, as you characterize it, a multiplier of well-being. So what does it take to become that multiplier of well-being? Well, it takes engaging in three domains, which are very simple, which are do, speak, and create. So if every manager were to simply do, as in lead by example, speak and engage their team members in well-being one conversation at a time, and through direct communication from them as opposed to a company email blast that comes out about, we've got this upcoming health fair, for example. And if every manager were to create systems within their team that make it easy and normal to engage with well-being, then the chances of their team members also engaging with well-being goes up dramatically.
So just another question is, so why is it so important for managers to lead by example?
Again, I think so often it's what I like to call I want to see my boss in spandex phenomenon. I don't want to just hear them talk about it. I want to see them actually doing it with me. So a great example of that, a woman, Kira Lewis is her name, and she's a senior manager at Marriott International. And not only is she participating in the on-site Zumba classes, she teaches them. And again, that really ties to that piece of vulnerability that you are really modeling for your team members. Vulnerability in the process of making a change. And none of us are perfect. I mean, we look at the statistics, what we see is that the research shows is that less than 3% of Americans put those three basic behaviors of eating healthy, being a non-smoker, and getting enough exercise every day, and having a healthy weight. So the likelihood that any manager is perfect in those areas is, less than 3%. So it's an imperfect process for any of us. And I think that the more that managers can model for their team members the imperfect process, and to really help people to recast this process not as one of shame and blame, but rather one of learning.
Well, Laura, I'm so grateful that you're a trailblazer as always in work with at the managerial level, so take, beyond the place that we've heard about at the leadership level for so long and taking it to that manager level so that we can really help influence the individuals who can really benefit from so much of this.
Yes. Thank you.
So if our audience wants to learn a little bit more about some of your work and the work of your organization or your Manager on the Move program, how can they find out some additional information?
Well, thanks so much for asking. There's really two different places that people can go. One is, of course, motioninfusion.com. So that is the website for my company, Motion Infusion. And then the second place is to go to lauraputnam.com, which is more of a speaker-author site, to get more information about me, Laura Putnam, as speaker and author. And so keeping up to date on things like where I am, working on my second book right now, kind of where I am on that, and also up to date on things like what's happening with Workplace Wellness Networks.
Wonderful.
First book. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those resources with us. Thanks for this conversation today. As always, it's delightful to spend time with you. And I hope that everyone appreciates all the fabulous work that you're doing to be able to create a healthier planet. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Mari. And I really appreciate all the great work that you're doing as well. So thank you so much for having me.